This video is about the mom took her kids to the aquarium, and a billionaire smiled at her. If this story touches your heart, please mention where you are watching from in the comments. Please like the video and share your thoughts in comments. The sun was already high in the sky when Carol Parker parked her modest minivan in the crowded lot of the Marine Discovery Aquarium. With a gentle sigh, she glanced in the rearview mirror at her two children, Emma and Noah, who were jumping with excitement in the backseat. Their eyes sparkled like the ocean they were about to explore. "Are you ready to see the sharks?" Noah, her 7-year-old with a head full of tousled brown hair, asked with uncontainable enthusiasm. "Only if you promise not to yell 'shark' at the top of your lungs again," Carol replied, playfully rolling her eyes. She knew from experience that this would only lead to chaos, but she couldn't help smiling at his eagerness. "Fine, but if I see one, I'm totally yelling," he declared, already unbuckling his seatbelt. "All right, let's go then," Carol said, grabbing her oversized tote filled with snacks, sunscreen, and the ever-present emergency first aid kit. Emma, her 10-year-old daughter, was already opening the door and hopping out, her long hair swaying in the warm breeze. "Mom, hurry!" Emma urged, her voice full of impatience and excitement. "I want to see the jellyfish." As they walked towards the entrance, Carol felt a familiar mix of pride and exhaustion wash over her. Juggling her job as a freelance graphic designer and being a full-time single mother had its challenges, but moments like these made it worthwhile. Time spent together, exploring the wonders of the world, was her antidote to the daily grind. Inside the aquarium, the air was cool, and the hum of excitement buzzed around them. The smell of salt water and the soft echoes of children's laughter created an atmosphere of wonder. Emma immediately dashed toward the jellyfish exhibit, her face lit up with awe. "Look at them, Mom. They look like they're dancing," she exclaimed, her fingers pressed against the glass, eyes wide with wonder. Carol watched her daughter with a heavy heart, memories flooding back of the times they'd spent together before the divorce. She had wanted to be the perfect mother, but life had thrown its share of challenges at her. The financial strain, the late nights working, and the emotional toll of a breakup with Mark still lingered like a shadow. "Just like you," she murmured, more to herself than to Emma, who was now completely absorbed in the graceful movements of the jellyfish. Noah, meanwhile, was bouncing on his heels, urging his sister to hurry. "Can we go see the sharks now?" he pleaded, tugging at Carol's sleeve. Okay, she laughed, happy to see their spirits high as she led them deeper into the aquarium. As they moved from exhibit to exhibit, Carol lost herself in the surroundings, watching her children marvel at the sea creatures. She loved seeing their faces light up, but a flicker of wistfulness reminded her of what she had sacrificed, her own dreams, her own joy. The weight of her responsibilities pressed down, making her yearn for a moment of lightness, of connection, beyond motherhood. Suddenly, as they rounded the corner towards the shark tank, a tall man stepped into her line of sight, blocking her view. He was strikingly handsome, with dark hair, a well-tailored suit that hugged his frame just right, and an air of confidence that made him stand out even in a sea of families. "Excuse me," he said with a polite smile, his deep voice cutting through the noise of excited children. "I didn't mean to get in the way." Carol felt a blush creep up her cheeks, surprised at how flustered she became in his presence. "Oh, it's no problem," she replied, trying to sound casual. "I was just, looking at the sharks." He followed her gaze, the corners of his mouth tilting up. "They're impressive, aren't they? I find them both terrifying and magnificent." Just then, Noah tugged at her arm again. "Mom, can we see the sharks now, please?" Carol shot Noah a quick smile, then turned back to the man. "Right. What were we talking about?" "Sharks." She laughed nervously. "They are impressive." The man chuckled, his eyes sparkling with amusement. "I'm Jonathan, by the way." He extended a hand, the warmth of his touch both surprising and electric. "Carol," she said, shaking his hand and feeling an unexpected jolt of connection. "Nice to meet you, Carol," he replied, his gaze penetrating and intense. "Are you here with your kids?" "Yes, just the two of them," she said, motioning toward Noah and Emma, who were now completely snared by the aquarium. "I'm a single mom trying to keep them entertained during the summer break." "I can relate," Jonathan said, his smile softening. "I spend a lot of time working, but I try to make time for my niece and nephew. They're a handful, but it's worth it." "Is that why you're here?" Carol asked, curiosity piqued. "To entertain the little ones." "Something like that." A glimmer of mischief danced in Jonathan's eyes. "But if I'm being honest, I enjoy it more than I thought I would. Kids have a way of seeing the world that makes you appreciate the little things." Carol nodded, feeling an instant connection over shared experiences, the conversation flowing easily. She could forget for a moment about the weight of bills and deadlines and just enjoy this unexpected moment. "Look, Mom, they're feeding the shark," Emma shouted, her voice echoing with excitement. "Let's go," Carol urged, not wanting to miss the spectacle. Jonathan followed, his presence beside her oddly comforting as they approached the viewing area. As they both watched the feeding frenzy, Carol felt a rush of gratitude for the moment. She caught a glimpse of Jonathan's profile, the way his jaw set in concentration, the fascination in his eyes. There was an unspoken chemistry between them, an energy that seemed to crackle in the air. "I can't believe how close they are," Noah exclaimed, leaning forward eagerly, oblivious to the silent connection forming between his mother and the billionaire. "Yeah," Jonathan said, leaning in closer to Carol. "You can really see their power up close. It's humbling." "Yes, it is," Carol replied, trying to focus on the sharks rather than the warmth of his presence. Each moment with him felt charged, and she could feel the tug of attraction, a pull that made her heart race and her mind swirl. Once the feeding ended, Emma turned to Jonathan, her eyes sparkling. "Do you want to see the otters with us?" Jonathan looked at Carol, raising an eyebrow. "I'd be honored to join you if that's all right with you, Carol." The invitation sent a thrill through her, though a small voice in the back of her mind whispered doubts. Was it appropriate to invite a stranger into their day? Yet, there was something undeniably appealing about his company. "Sure," she found herself saying, her heart beating a little faster. "We'd love the company." As they walked toward the otter exhibit, Carol stole glances at Jonathan, wondering how someone like him could connect so easily with her. But just as quickly, a flicker of self-doubt crept in. Could a man like him, with his polished world, ever truly understand the chaos of her own life? "Are you enjoying the aquarium so far?" he asked, seemingly unaware of the storm of thoughts that raged within her. "It's wonderful," she replied, forcing a smile. "The kids are loving it. It's nice to get away from everything for a while. Sometimes you just need to lose yourself in something beautiful," he replied, his gaze lingering on her for a moment longer than necessary. For a heartbeat, the noise of the aquarium faded into the background. The world outside their small bubble seemed to disappear, leaving only the two of them and the unspoken tension that hung between them. But before she could respond, Emma tugged on her hand, breaking the spell. "Mom, look! The otters are swimming!" Carol turned to her daughter, grateful for the distraction. Yet, as they continued through the aquarium, she couldn't shake the feeling that something significant had begun to take shape between her and Jonathan. And as they stood in front of the playful otters, she couldn't help but wonder if this unexpected day at the aquarium would lead to something more, or if it was merely a fleeting moment in time, slipping through her fingers like water. The otter exhibit was alive with energy, the playful creatures darting and gliding through the water, their sleek bodies creating ripples that danced across the surface. Carol smiled, her heart lightening with each delighted squeal from Noah and Emma. "Look at them go!" Noah shouted, his eyes as wide as saucers. "Can we get one, Mom? Can we keep it as a pet?" Carol chuckled, shaking her head. "I don't think our landlord would allow that." She glanced at Jonathan, who was leaning slightly closer, sharing in the children's laughter. "They are adorable," he said, his eyes sparkling with genuine delight as an otter swiped a fish right out of the water. "But I think your minivan might get a bit crowded with one of those in there." "You have no idea," Carol replied, her tone teasing. "It's already a zoo on wheels." As the children continued to marvel at the otters, Carol felt an unexpected warmth radiate from Jonathan. He seemed to shift closer, comfortable in this bubble of shared laughter and spontaneous joy. But her mind was a swirling chaos of conflicting emotions. "Do you come to places like this often?" she asked, hoping to keep the conversation flowing and distract herself from the deeper feelings tugging at her heart. "Not as much as I'd like," he admitted, glancing at her with an intensity that made her pulse quicken. "My schedule is pretty tight with work, but I try to make time for moments like these." "Moments like these?" she echoed, feeling the weight of his words. Was he referring only to being at the aquarium, or was it something more? Jonathan smirked slightly, his lips curling in a way that sent her heart racing. "You know, the ones that remind you life is about more than just business deals and meetings." Carol felt a stirring in her chest, a flicker of hope. "I could use more moments like that," she whispered, though she didn't know if she was speaking about the aquarium or something deeper, like the connection she felt with him. Just then, Emma tugged on her sleeve, interrupting the moment. "Mom, I want a picture with the otters." "All right, sweetie." Carol turned to Jonathan, her cheeks warming. "Do you want to join us for a picture?" "I'd love to," he replied, stepping back slightly to give them room as they posed in front of the exhibit. Carol crouched down beside her children, the warmth of Jonathan's presence lingering just behind her. As Jonathan snapped a few pictures on Emma's phone, she felt a sense of ease wash over her. The kids were happy, and maybe, just maybe, she could let herself enjoy this unexpected day. "Got it!" Jonathan announced with a triumphant grin, handing the phone back to Emma. "You all look fantastic." "Thanks. Can we see the penguins next?" Noah chimed in, bouncing on his heels again. "Lead the way, Captain," Jonathan said, playfully saluting Noah, who puffed his chest out proudly. As they walked, Carol found herself walking beside Jonathan, the air around them charged with an unspoken connection. She couldn't ignore the little flutters in her stomach, the way his presence made her feel alive. "Do you have kids?" she asked, trying to steer the conversation away from her own insecurities and focus on him. "No, I don't," he replied, his tone thoughtful. "But I have 2 nieces and a nephew. I love spending time with them. They remind me that life is about the little joys." Carol nodded, her heart aching a little. She missed the days when her family was whole, before the fracture that had changed everything. "I bet they keep you on your toes," she said with a smile, though the sensation of longing tugged at her heart. "They're a handful for sure," Jonathan said, his eyes twinkling with mischief. "But I wouldn't trade it for anything." "What do you do, if you don't mind me asking?" Carol ventured, her curiosity piqued. She couldn't help but wonder how someone like him had found his way to her. "I run a tech company," he replied casually, but she caught a hint of pride in his voice. "It's demanding, but I enjoy it. I get to create things that can change lives." "Wow, that sounds impressive," she replied, her admiration creeping into her tone. "I bet you're busy all the time." "Most of the time," he agreed, glancing at her with a sincerity that made her heart flutter. "But days like this remind me that balance is important. We can't forget to enjoy life along the way." Before she could respond, they arrived at the penguin exhibit, and the children rushed ahead, squealing in delight as the little black and white creatures waddled around. Carol watched them with a smile, but her heart was still caught in the whirlwind of Jonathan's presence. As they watched the penguins, Carol took a moment to observe him. There was something so genuine and warm about him. It seemed as if he relished the joy of the children, embodying a sense of ease that she longed for in her own life. "Do you ever wish you could just escape?" she asked, surprising herself with the vulnerability in her voice. "Leave everything behind and just enjoy moments like this?" He turned to her, his expression serious. "Sometimes. But escaping isn't the solution. It's about finding joy in the chaos. Carol contemplated his words, feeling both seen and understood. You're right, she replied softly. It's easy to get lost in responsibilities. I just sometimes wish I could find a way to balance it all. Balance takes time, Jonathan said gently, and it can be hard to achieve alone, but you don't have to be alone. His words hung in the air, filled with possibilities. Carol felt a flutter of hope and trepidation. Could this man really understand the weight she carried? Just then, Noah exclaimed, "Mom, look at the penguins swimming, they're so fast." The children's laughter broke the intensity of the moment, and Carol took a breath, grateful for the distraction. But as they moved to a closer viewing area, she couldn't shake the feeling that something significant had shifted between her and Jonathan. "Want to join us for lunch?" Emma asked suddenly, her voice bright with enthusiasm. "We can share our snacks." At that moment, Carol's heart skipped. Lunch? It felt both thrilling and terrifying. The thought of inviting Jonathan to join them made her pulse race. But what if it was too soon? Would he see it as a burden, or would he welcome the invitation? "Are you free for lunch?" she asked him, her heart racing at the possibility. "I'd love to," he replied, a smile spreading across his face that made her stomach flutter. "Lead the way." As they made their way to the Aquarium Cafe, Carol felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. Flashes of doubt crept into her mind. Was this just a fleeting connection? Would he want to see her again after today? Jonathan fell in step beside her, and she caught him glancing at her with an intensity that sent butterflies fluttering in her stomach. "You know, Carol," he said suddenly, his voice low and sincere, "I'm really glad to have met you today. It's nice to connect with someone who gets it." Her breath caught in her throat. "I'm glad too," she replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "It's been a long time since I felt this kind of connection." "Then let's not make it a one-time thing," he suggested, his gaze unwavering, sending warmth spreading through her. "Are you serious?" she asked, her heart racing. "I am. How about we exchange numbers? We could plan another outing, maybe a dinner." The suggestion struck her with a mix of exhilaration and apprehension. A dinner? With him? She had never been the type to jump into things, but something about Jonathan felt different. "Okay," she said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'd like that." As they walked into the cafe, Emma and Noah chattered excitedly about their favorite animals, completely oblivious to the undercurrent of tension between their mother and Jonathan. And for the first time in a long while, Carol felt a spark of hope stirring within her. Perhaps today was a beginning, not just an escape. Perhaps it was a chance to embrace the beauty of unexpected connections. And as the children laughed and Jonathan's smile widened, she couldn't help but wonder what the future might hold. If she could dare to imagine a life where moments like these weren't just fleeting, but the beginning of something more profound. The cafe was a charming blend of marine colors, soft blues and greens evoking the ocean, with large windows that offered a view of the shimmering waters just outside. Carol settled at a small table, her heart racing as she caught Jonathan's gaze. He looked surprisingly at ease, as if the weight of the world were far from his thoughts. "Do you think they have any seafood here?" he joked as he scanned the menu, his lips twitching upward. "I mean, we are at an aquarium after all." Carol laughed, the tension of the morning easing a little. "I think that's the only thing they don't serve. It would be a bit ironic, wouldn't it? No seafood, but maybe some aquatic-themed pasta." Jonathan shot back, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "Well, I guess that's better than a calamari platter," she replied, and they both chuckled, enjoying the lightness of the moment. As they placed their orders, Carol felt a familiar tug of doubt creeping in. The cafe buzzed with the laughter of families, the air thick with the scent of fries and burgers. What was she doing here? Sitting across from a man who seemed like an enigma. A billionaire, no less. She was a single mom juggling her kids and the remnants of a broken marriage. Jonathan's presence was intoxicating, but the thought of their differing worlds loomed like a storm cloud over her head. What if he realized this was all a mistake? "Are you okay?" Jonathan's voice pulled her from her thoughts. His brow was furrowed with concern, his eyes searching hers. "Yeah, just... It's been a long day. Long day, or long life," he teased gently, but his tone was sincere, and it caught her off guard. "Maybe a bit of both." She chuckled, but her heart felt heavy. "Life has its ups and downs, you know." "I understand." His expression softened, and for a moment she felt the weight of his gaze as if he were peeling back the layers of her facade. "But today seems like an up, right?" She nodded, forcing a smile. "Yes, it does." But as she spoke, her mind flitted to the uncertainty that lay ahead. Their food arrived. A generous serving of fries for the kids and a hearty sandwich for Carol. As she watched Emma and Noah dig into their meals, the joy on their faces reminded her of why she had come here in the first place. "Do you want a fry?" Emma asked Jonathan, her enthusiasm infectious. "Thanks, but I'm okay just watching you two enjoy. You all make this place a lot more fun," he replied, glancing at Carol with a warmth that made her heart flutter again. Noah piped up, his mouth full. "Jonathan, do you have a pet? I bet you have a huge dog, or maybe an exotic bird." Jonathan laughed, the sound rich and genuine. "No pets for me, but I've always wanted a dog, maybe a golden retriever, loyal and friendly." "Just like you," Emma chimed in, giggling. Carol couldn't help but smile at the children's innocence. "He's definitely loyal," she added, glancing at Jonathan, her heart swelling with warmth. "At least, I hope so." Before he could respond, Noah leaned in closer, his voice low and conspiratorial. "What's it like being a billionaire? Do you have secret meetings with superheroes?" Jonathan feigned surprise, his eyes wide. "Absolutely. Only the coolest superheroes, though. I can't tell you their names, or I'd have to recruit you." The kids erupted in laughter, and Carol felt her heart lift. For that brief moment, worries about the future faded away. Here, in this bubble of laughter and fun, everything seemed perfect. But as the laughter faded and the kids moved back to their sandwiches, Carol felt the familiar tug of doubt once more. "Is it hard?" she asked Jonathan, her voice quieter now. "The whole millionaire thing?" His brow furrowed slightly. "It can be. People often see you differently. They have preconceived notions, but I've worked hard for what I have, and I try to stay grounded." "How do you manage that?" Carol asked, genuinely curious. "I have my family, my friends. They keep me humble," he replied simply, his gaze steady. "And I try to find joy in moments like this, away from everything." His words resonated with her, but they also made her wonder if she could ever truly belong in his world. "It can be hard to find that balance," she murmured, glancing down at her plate. "Especially with kids." Jonathan studied her, his gaze penetrating, as if he were trying to unravel the complexities of her thoughts. "You seem to manage it well, though. You're here enjoying a day at the aquarium with your kids. Sometimes I wonder if I'm doing enough," she admitted, feeling the weight of vulnerability. "It's easy to feel lost when everything around you is chaotic." "It's not about perfection," Jonathan replied softly. "It's about being present. Your kids love you, and that's what matters." His words lingered in the air, and she felt a swell of emotions crashing over her like waves. "Thank you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Just then, Noah leaned over, his eyes wide. "Mom, can we go see the gift shop after lunch?" "Of course," Carol replied, ruffling his hair affectionately. Jonathan smiled at the kids, but Carol noticed a flicker of something in his gaze, a hint of jealousy, perhaps. It was only a moment, but it sent a jolt through her. Was he uncomfortable with their dynamic? "You kids are lucky," he said, breaking the silence. "Not everyone gets to have a day like this." Emma grinned, her mouth stuffed with fries. And we met you. That makes it even better. Carol felt her cheeks warm at her daughter's innocent enthusiasm. You're right, Emma, she said, turning to Jonathan, her heart racing. It's not every day you meet a billionaire at the aquarium. Maybe I should change careers, Jonathan joked, his smile broadening. Aquarium tours instead of board meetings? Sounds like a plan. Carol laughed, but deep down she felt a flicker of hope. Could moments like this lead to something more? As they finished up, Carol couldn't shake the feeling that Jonathan was not just another passing moment in her life. There was a connection, an intensity that sent her heart into an exhilarating spin. But the reality of her everyday life tugged hard at her mind. After they finished their meals, Emma and Noah jumped up, their energy renewed. Can we go now? I want a toy. Okay, Carol replied, smiling at their excitement. As they made their way to the gift shop, Carol felt Jonathan walking closely beside her. She glanced up, catching his eye. Thank you for today. I didn't expect it to be this much fun. Neither did I, he said, his voice serious. But I'm glad I took a chance. Me too, she replied, her heart racing at the unspoken promise in his gaze. The gift shop was a colorful explosion of marine-themed toys and trinkets. As the children rushed to pick out their treasures, Carol felt a momentary peace settle over her. What are you thinking? Jonathan asked, stepping a little closer. Just hoping they don't spend all their allowance in one go, she replied, her tone light, but her heart heavy with thoughts of budgeting and responsibilities. Sometimes it's okay to indulge a little, he said, his eyes locking onto hers. Life is about experiences. Easier said than done, she said softly, but she felt the pull of his gaze, the warmth radiating from him. Just then, Emma held up a plush shark and beamed. Look, Mom, can we get this? Absolutely, Carol replied, her heart swelling with pride at her daughter's joy. Noah, too, picked up a small toy otter, bouncing with excitement. I want this. It's just like the real ones. Jonathan chuckled, his gaze shifting between the kids and Carol. You're good at this whole parenting thing, you know. She felt warmth blossom in her chest, but doubt lingered. Thank you. I try my best, but it's not always easy. Nothing worthwhile ever is, he said, his eyes unwavering. But you're not alone in this, Carol. Her breath caught in her throat. Did he really mean that? The thought of having someone like Jonathan in her life, someone who understood her struggles while also challenging her to embrace joy, was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. As they made their way to the checkout, Carol couldn't help but wonder if this unexpected day would truly blossom into something deeper. Could a billionaire and a single mother find common ground? With each passing moment, her heart battled between hope and trepidation, feeling the weight of what could be. And as Jonathan stood beside her, a partner in this whirlwind of laughter and love, she felt a spark of possibility igniting inside her. Maybe, just maybe, this day at the aquarium marked the beginning of a new chapter in her life, one filled with unexpected connections and moments of joy. The checkout line was buzzing with other families, children clamoring for their prizes and parents juggling various bags. Carol watched as her kids debated over who would get to carry the plush toys. Jonathan, standing beside her, casually leaned against the counter, watching the kids with a soft smile on his face. Do you think they'll ever tire of those? He asked, amusement dancing in his eyes as Noah flexed his muscles in an exaggerated display of strength, trying to lift the otter toy. I doubt it, Carol replied, a laugh escaping her lips. They're usually attached to their toys for weeks, sometimes months. It's like they take on personalities. Maybe we should start a support group for parents dealing with plush toy attachments, Jonathan suggested, his voice light. We could even hold meetings at the aquarium. Only if there's free pizza involved, she shot back, feeling lighter. And maybe a few rounds of, guess that fish. Deal, he said, his smile widening. The chemistry between them felt electric, and for a moment the world around them faded away. Just then, the cashier called them forward, breaking the spell. As Jonathan paid for the kids' toys, Carol felt a mix of gratitude and embarrassment. She couldn't shake the feeling that his generosity was a reminder of their different worlds. "Thanks for that," she said, her voice low as they stepped aside to wait for the kids' purchases to be wrapped. "You didn't have to." "I wanted to," he replied, his gaze steady. "It's a small gesture. But more importantly, I enjoyed spending time with you and the kids. It's refreshing." His sincerity washed over her, but it also deepened the swirl of feelings inside her. How could someone like him find joy in a chaotic day with a single mom and her kids? Did he not see the complications of their worlds colliding? "Let's take a picture to remember today," Emma exclaimed, breaking Carol from her thoughts. She fumbled with her phone, eager to capture the moment. "Good idea." Noah cheered, jumping in place. They gathered together with Carol in the middle, her children on either side, and Jonathan positioned just behind them. As the selfie clicked, Carol felt Jonathan's warmth radiate against her, a tantalizing reminder of the connection they'd formed. "Can you send that to me?" he asked as they reviewed the picture. "Sure. I'll text it to you," Carol said, feeling a flutter of excitement. Was it too soon to share her number? But she felt the urge to continue this connection to see where it might lead. "Well, that's one for the books," Jonathan said, glancing at the photo. "I can't remember the last time I had this much fun at an aquarium." "Neither can I," Carol admitted, her heart swelling. "It's been ages since I've done something like this." He leaned closer, his voice lowering slightly. "I'd love to see you and the kids again. Maybe we could plan another outing." The invitation sent a rush of warmth through her. "I'd like that. I mean, it sounds great," she replied, her voice firmer than she felt. "Just let me know when you're free." "Perfect. I'll text you then," he said, their eyes locking briefly before the kids tugged on her sleeve, wanting to move on. "Look, Mom, the sea turtles!" they shouted in unison, their excitement palpable. "Let's go," she said, turning to follow them. But she could feel Jonathan's eyes on her, a lingering warmth that sent a thrill through her. As they made their way to the next exhibit, Carol's mind raced with possibilities. What if this was the start of something more? A relationship that could blossom despite their differences? But the doubts crept in too, whispering reminders of her responsibilities, her life's complexities. "Mom, look at that big one." Emma pointed, her voice filled with awe as a massive sea turtle glided gracefully through the water. "It's incredible, isn't it?" Jonathan said, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "They're like the gentle giants of the ocean." "Yes," Noah replied, leaning against the glass, his nose almost pressed against it. "Can we be like them? Just swim away and explore?" Carol chuckled at her son's innocence. "I think we'd need gills for that, buddy. But we can still explore, just on land. Maybe we can get a boat," Noah suggested, his imagination running wild. "I'm all for a boat trip," Jonathan chimed in, his tone playful. "Just imagine the adventures we could have out on the water." Carol felt a pang of longing at the thought. The idea of adventure, freedom, and connection was intoxicating. But could she really step into that world? As they moved through the exhibits, Jonathan engaged the kids with stories about marine life, making them laugh with silly facts and playful banter. Carol watched, her heart swelling with affection. He was effortlessly charming, a natural with her children, and she couldn't help but feel envious of the ease with which he navigated their world. But what did he see in her? Was it merely kindness, or was there something deeper? "Hey, Carol." Jonathan's voice broke through her thoughts. "What's something you've always wanted to do but haven't?" She paused, contemplating. "Travel, I guess. I've always wanted to visit places like the Great Barrier Reef." His gaze sharpened. "You should. It's breathtaking. I could connect you with some friends who organize trips. It's a life-changing experience." Her heart raced. "You'd do that?" "Absolutely," he replied, his tone sincere. "I believe in living life to the fullest. You should too." "I'm trying," she whispered, feeling the weight of her responsibilities. It's just, sometimes it feels overwhelming. I get that, he said softly. But it's okay to take a leap sometimes. You never know what you might find on the other side. Before she could respond, Emma tugged on her sleeve again. Mom, can we see the stingrays next? Of course, Carol replied, her heart lightening at her daughter's enthusiasm. As they moved toward the stingray exhibit, Jonathan fell back slightly, allowing Emma and Noah to lead the way. Carol felt a mix of gratitude and apprehension. The way he connected with her children, the way he looked at her. It felt real. But was it? Did she dare to hope for something more? As they approached the next exhibit, a sudden jolt of chaos erupted. A group of children rushed past, narrowly bumping into Noah, who stumbled backward, clutching his otter toy. Hey, watch it! Noah cried, indignant. Carol rushed to his side, her heart racing. Are you okay? I'm fine, he huffed, adjusting his grip on the plush toy. Let's just ignore them, all right? Jonathan interjected, a calming presence. Focus on the stingrays. They're way cooler. Yeah, Emma chimed in, her excitement infectious once more. As they gazed at the graceful creatures gliding through the water, Carol felt Jonathan's shoulder brush against hers again. The warmth sent a rush of adrenaline through her, but the earlier chaos lingered like an unwanted shadow. Do you want to touch one? He asked, his voice low, almost conspiratorial. Can we? Emma whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. Yes, there's a petting area over there, Jonathan pointed. It's amazing. Carol hesitated. I'm not sure. Come on, it'll be fun, Noah urged, his eyes shining with excitement. The thought of touching a stingray both thrilled and terrified her. All right, she relented, glancing up at Jonathan. But you'll be there with us, right? Of course, he said, his voice steady. I wouldn't let you do it alone. As they approached the petting area, Carol felt another wave of nerves wash over her. This was pushing her out of her comfort zone, but the way Jonathan smiled at her made her feel emboldened. They lined up to touch the stingrays, and when it was their turn, Carol took a deep breath. The gentle creatures swam close, gliding against their fingers. Emma squealed in delight, her laughter echoing in the humid air. Mom, it feels like jelly, she shouted, her joy contagious. Here, let me show you, Jonathan said, stepping forward with Emma. He guided her hand, demonstrating how to gently stroke the stingray's back. Carol watched them, a sense of pride swelling within her. Jonathan was so patient, so kind. But then the pang of insecurity returned. Did he see himself as a father figure? Would he tire of the chaotic reality of her life? As she touched a stingray, the sensation sent a thrill through her, but her mind raced with doubt. Could she truly let someone into her life? How could she balance his world with hers? Your turn, Carol, Jonathan said, his voice coaxing. I don't know, she faltered, the weight of her thoughts threatening to drown her. Just breathe.